This video I'm gonna talk about martial art infections, and as you see, what I promote is a healthy development of martial arts. And for me, I don't want to get a broken tooth. I don't want to have missing teeth. I don't want to have a broken nose. I don't want to have broken bones, and I don't want to have infections. So, something that's common for wrestlers, people that do a lot of ground fighting, they call it like cauliflower ear, where your ear starts poofing up and it has all this pus in it, and it's got to get drained out. You see a lot of these wrestlers, you look at their ears, there's a lot of poofiness, and it looks very disgusting. I don't like that. I never got that, and I'm glad that I never got it, but I did get other things. I did get ringworm before, and that was not a pleasant experience. It's disgusting. I didn't know what it was at first, because I got like this skin condition that I guess I was born with. It's through my genetics, called dermatitis. I thought it was something like that, but it was on my hand, and it started off as looking like someone scratched me, and it looked like somebody scratched me, and then all of a sudden there started to be like circular, like looks like a bunch of pimples, and it forms a circle, a little circle, and then eventually the circle gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and I didn't know what it was. I tried to put different types of ointments, nothing was working. It started to get worse and worse. It was in the back of my hand, like the back of my hand, like this hand right here, like it was on my left hand, on the back of the hand, and it just started to get circular, it looks like a bunch of pimples, and it starts itching and scratching, and all this, pus that started to come out. I mean, it got big. It got like this big around my hand. It looked like I had a disease or something. And that was pretty much from ground fighting. And after that, I learned I don't want to be doing that anymore. I mean, not too intensely. I mean, I don't mind training drills on the ground to work on being able to work on certain techniques, but as far as like wrestling around the ground and sweating at each other and doing that stuff like 20-30 minutes and just basically exchanging all these fluids and sweat and infections, I'm not for that. That's why wrestling mats have to be cleaned very often, because to try to prevent things like ringworm. So I had to go to the doctor, and I spent $100 just to get that thing taken care of, and luckily the doctor knew what it was immediately. Ran some tests and knew what it was immediately. He gave me some ointment, some prescription ointment. I put it on there, and then eventually it started to go away. But it cost me $100, and that stuff was just disgusting. So that's something that you gotta be aware of, training as a martial artist or as a wrestler, things like that. So what I do when I train people, I try to make minimum contact. Like the only thing that you make in contact is really your hands, your fists, and your feet, and that's split seconds when you do a striking technique. But as far as like rolling around the ground with each other, I wouldn't advise that unless you do it like without too much, unless you don't sweat too much and things like that. Just do like drills together, do short spurts, like maybe maybe like a minute long, where you work on certain techniques. But I wouldn't advise to constantly be laying on top of each other and everything to work on these techniques and exchanging sweat and all that other stuff. That's my recommendation. Another thing that happened to me is I ended up getting a ganglion cyst, they call it. I don't know how it happened, but next thing you know, after training, maybe about a week ago, I look at my hand, and on my middle knuckle, so I look at my hand, and then on the center of my knuckle and the middle knuckle here, there is a bump, and it doesn't hurt, but it moves around, so it doesn't look. It's not a bone. It seems like there's fluid underneath, I didn't know what it was, and then it started to get bigger. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's my middle finger. I don't want to stick my middle finger at the camera, but you know, it's the middle finger at that knuckle. And there's a bump, if you can see it. You know, and it's not going away. It started to get bigger. I don't know what happened, because I don't remember hitting the punching bag or anything with that part of my finger. So it started to get bigger. It doesn't hurt though. I just went to the doctor, and he says that it looks like to be a ganglion cyst. I looked it up on the internet as well, and they talk about it's like a fluid buildup where something, I guess, ruptured in between the joints, and there's like a fluid buildup where that finger is right here. You know, and the doctor just basically said to give it some time to go down on its own. He said that he could pretty much use a needle to draw out the fluid, which is like going to be like a clear fluid, but he said that that might cause an infection, so just to give it some time and it should go away on its own. But basically, I mean, I don't like these types of things. I mean, I want to keep my body looking good. I want to keep myself looking good. I want to look good for myself. I want to look good for my wife. And I don't like to get black eyes, broken noses, missing teeth, cauliflower ears, ringworm, ganglion cysts, you know, stuff like that. I don't want any of that stuff. And I don't promote other people to train in ways where that stuff happens. You know, so I promote people to pretty much take care of their bodies. And yeah, you know, I'll update you on things that happen to me, so then you learn from my experiences. You know, I'm gonna try, you know, ever since this stuff happened, I'm gonna try to start using open hands more when I hit things. I'm not gonna really use my fists as much. And also got me started to think about arthritis. I don't want to get arthritis when I get older and things like that. So I don't want to like put too much unnecessary force on my body, on my bones. I want to train in a healthy way. You know, I mean, I don't like to wear gloves because I want to keep it more realistic, because on the streets I'm not going to be wearing gloves, and really I don't really like depending on that type of equipment. All I got to do, instead of using my fists, I'll just use my open hand. I'll just practice open hand strikes. I'll use my fists sparingly. But, you know, I want to do a healthy development when I train. I don't want to be hurting my bodies in unnecessary ways, no matter if I'm sparring with somebody, or no matter if I'm hitting the punching bag or lifting weights. I think it's very important to always focus on your development in a healthy way. So these are some things to keep in mind. You know, I mean, I believe that as martial artists, I mean, I don't even like to use the term anymore, because people with a lot of ego are not representing the martial arts the way that I believe it should be represented. So as a Kung Fu practitioner, I'll call myself a Kung Fu practitioner. As a Kung Fu artist, I believe that we should be training in healthy ways. We should be looking good, looking better, not more ugly, not with broken bones and where we could barely move, or getting arthritis and things like that. I believe that, you know, we always got to keep our safety in mind, and to, I mean, look good in what we do. All right, take care of yourself.